And we are live.
Yeah. Oh, it's time to get real. Oh, yeah. It's a new experience. Yeah, keep your ears open for this one.
Spirituality.
You got a question for RLA? Spirituality. It's time to get some answers, baby.
Oh, now we getting real.
It's time to get down. You're gonna feel good now.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Reality Spirituality. I'm your host, global happiness specialist, inner peace practitioner, oracle, but mother, but most importantly, a student, ongoing, always. You know, this life is never there. It is a never ending journey to learning, to expanding, to becoming more self-aware, more conscious of what is the truth and what is an illusion. And so on this show, I've been sharing, when I say happiness specialist, who the hell she thinks she is happiness specialist? The nerve. Well, when I say happiness, just to be very clear, I'm talking about a personal vibration, a personal energy of contentment, maintaining it, sustaining it, regardless of what happens. And if you're like me, and we are more alike than we are different, that this life is just a series of ups and downs and ups and downs. But the ups and downs, even the judgment of that this is an up or this is a down, comes from the programming. So what I focus on this show is recognizing, putting a spotlight on the program. And what is the program anyway? But before I get ahead of myself, well, let me just answer that question. A program is a belief in anything that you learned. In other words, you didn't pop out of the womb knowing how to worry. You didn't pop out of the womb knowing how to compare yourself to someone else. You didn't pop out of the womb knowing how to have expectations or blaming or making judgments or even rushing. So when I say program behaviors, I'm talking about all the learned program. You can even say conditioned, brainwashed, the programming, and it is the programming that causes the suffering, not the event, not the actual event. At least that's my take on it. That's my perspective. But before I go on, I get a lot of new listeners and new audience. I want to say, and we're still not live on Noon Vibe. I was banned. No, I was demoted. What was I demoted? I was demoted because I wasn't answering the weekly questions, and I didn't know that was a requirement. Anyway, no excuse. So we're only live on YouTube, but this platform can be shared on. I shared this video. Scratch that. I've shared this show on a lot of different platforms today. If you want to ask me a question, you can also post a comment or ask me live. But so let me just do a little bit more introduction. When I say happiness, again, I'll give you my definition. My definition of happiness is the ability to maintain and sustain energy, a personal vibration of contentment, of peace, regardless of what the world is throwing at you, regardless of how you're feeling, regardless of whatever challenge you find yourself facing. Sounds like a really good idea. It sounds like a really good way to live, doesn't it? The problem with it is that there's not too many, there's a very small amount of people on this planet that value, and when I say value to the point of practice, value to the point of what can I do? How can I get some of that? And when I say value, most scratch that. The programmed people value this thing, this word called success. Well, success means what? Achievements, accomplishments, doing. Yes, I get it. But do you know that the great Tom Brady is dissatisfied with 7 Super Bowl rings? He said it. He said it. You can Google and find it. And the great Michael Jordan is dissatisfied with 6 NBA championships. If you listened to or watched his documentary, The Last Dance, he said it. No, I have 6. I could have gotten 7 championships. But I promise you, do you think that Michael Jackson Michael Jordan and or well, that's another topic of dissatisfaction, but I digress. That Tom Brady and or Michael Jordan would be satisfied with 7 rings? No, the program is a program of dissatisfaction. And in fact, that's what the world sells. The world sells dissatisfaction. Be dissatisfied with who you are. Be dissatisfied with what you've accomplished. Be dissatisfied with how much money you have in the bank. Be dissatisfied with at the present moment. That's the programming. And that's what the world sells. It sells dissatisfaction and it sells fear. But again, I digress. So my definition of happiness is the ability to maintain and sustain an energy of contentment regardless of what happens to you. It is the practice. When I say happiness, contentment, inner peace is a practice. It is a practice skill. And it is what happens is your foundation, a house or a building, commercial building being built has to have a sturdy foundation. And so what I share is to practice how to have a foundation. Listen to this one. How to have, scratch that, how to practice having a foundation rooted in peace, rooted in contentment. Just like the oak tree, what are you rooted in? And if you are rooted in the programming, the world's programming, human programming, guess what? You may feel at peace for a minute, but as soon as I snap my fingers, maybe the next day or the next day, dissatisfaction comes up. So the practice, what I share is how to practice maintaining a sense of contentment. You can still get on that road, that road of doing. You can still do all of that, but you're not attached to an outcome. You're not attached to having expectations, and your self-worth and who you are doesn't come from what you do. The satisfaction. And when I say satisfaction, I'm talking about an energy of contentment. The energy of contentment doesn't come from what you do or what you have or how you look or what kind of relationship you're in or where you live or how much money is in the bank. No, your value, your sense of contentment, energy of contentment comes from knowing the truth about who you are. Boy, I sure did say a lot. No, this isn't scripted. But before I go on, like and subscribe. And again, my latest book, Programmed for Unhappiness, Exposing the Untold Truth. It's on Amazon. And in this book, I list 56, I'm up to 58 now, but before this book was published, I only had 56 program behaviors and 56 program behaviors that subtract from your energy of contentment, peace, and happiness. And again, when I say happiness, forget the words, please forget the words. Concentrate on the energy that you emit. And this is just a side note. Whatever energy you're emitting at any time, that's your contribution to the planet. Your energy and your vibration is your contribution to the planet. We're all energetic beings, and we are in a field of energy. And so that's why I practice vibrating, at least consciously practice this vibration and energy of contentment. But how do you do that? Thanks for asking. Thanks for asking. But before I go on again, I want to just in the beginning, I always share, hold on a second, let me get this. I always share, there's a very famous study. And if you've listened to the show, you've heard this a million times. So this is just going to be 1,000,001. There's a very famous study. It's called The 5 Most Common Regrets of the Dying. So these people were in hospice, and this study was done by a hospice nurse. Her name is Bronnie Ware, and you can Google it. The 5 Most Common Regrets of the Dying. So these people had days, weeks, months to live, and she asked them, what are your biggest regrets? It's like asking someone, what are your biggest fears? But what are your biggest regrets? And these 5 regrets kept coming up over and over and over again. And they are, thank you for asking, they are: number 1, I wish I pursued my dreams and aspirations and not the life others expected of me. Number 2, I wish I didn't work so hard. Shout out to all my workaholics. Number 3, I wish I had the courage to express my feelings and speak my mind. Number 4, I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends. Sometimes we outgrow people. Nothing wrong. It's just time to move on. It's just some people are in our lives just for a season. And number 5, I wish I would have let myself be happier. And that's where I come in, sharing how to, again, it's a practice, sharing how to maintain and sustain inner peace. Is it possible? Yes, it is, with practice. And I'm going to share with you what to practice. And again, I've been teaching the classes, The Truth About Happiness, for over 15 years now, but doing this research, the seeking, this looking, this uncovering, what is happiness? And why can't I feel happy all the time? Well, feeling happy all the time is feeling happy all the time is something that, let me just be very clear. It's not about your feelings. It's about an energy, because feelings are very up and down too. Feelings go from here to here, from here to here. And usually the person that is programmed with a lot of program beliefs believes that their feelings comes from what happens, or they feel a certain way because of what's happening. They're feeling a certain way because of believing the stories and the thoughts in your head. So the feelings and the emotions are usually, scratch that, are attached to a story, especially when you're programmed. And this show today is about living at another level of existence. And this other level, I'm practicing letting go of this human, this Rebecca with the name and the accomplishments or the titles, or speaker, author, what else? Exercise instructor, fitness instructor, Reiki practitioner, even mother. All of these labels still don't define, still don't describe who I am. And when I say I, I'm using I. And in fact, let me recommend this book for a second. This is from one of my, look at this book. It's all torn up. This is from one of my favorite authors, Dr. David Hawkins. and he wrote Power versus Force. That's another good book. I could have had that up here too. But this book, The Eye of the I, from which nothing is hidden. It is a book that the teachings, the practices in this book takes you to another level. This takes you to another level of how to navigate and how to weather any storm. And when I say any storm, you know what I'm talking about, life storm. So let me share. The topic of today's show, another level of existence, requires you, my dear audience, requires you to, number one, prioritize and make a commitment that this energy of contentment is valued. Now, the world teaches to value a lot of different things. From what did this was just this morning. Hold on, let me find it. I was online this morning, and I wasn't online, but I was on Twitter this morning. And this world guru, hold on. Where did I put it? And this world guru, usually the post, oh, here, right in front of me. It's right here. I love that. Usually the posts are the same. It's about accomplishment. It's about this word mastery. It's about always doing. And doing for what reason? Doing to have a legacy, this whole program belief of legacy. But one of the things that I responded today, and the post was, mastery takes practice, unrelenting patience, and devotion. A very difficult obsession, and one of the best commitments you can make. So it's about mastery, but mastering what? Mastering what? Mastering what the program says to master? Because the program says that, and again, I gave the examples earlier. Tom Brady, Michael Jordan are both dissatisfied with their rings. They're dissatisfied with their accomplishments. Is there a time when this energy of satisfaction can take over and be what you are rooted in? That doesn't mean you just sit back and do nothing. That doesn't mean that you're not taking inspired actions. But this whole belief, this lie, and I'm going to say that. Oh, did I say lie? This lie that when you achieve this, it's all going to be okay. And in fact, if you don't believe me, ask my close friend, Will Smith. He was interviewed in GQ magazine in November 2021, before the infamous slap heard round the world. And he said, listen, I have the article here. Where is it? I have it here somewhere. You can Google that too. He said, I have everything: money, fame, connections. At the time, he said loving family, but I'm not happy. And I'm here to say that the majority of people have been sold a lie that achieve this, accomplish this, and then you're going to feel complete. But I guarantee that if you're dissatisfied in your present moment, you will be dissatisfied in all future moments too. But it's not your fault. It's the programming that causes the dissatisfaction. And when you are able to not only recognize the program, but start eliminating the program one by one, programs one by one, this life takes on a totally different feeling, vibration, energy, and the only way I can describe it is you go through life with your shoulders down. Let me see. Let me do that. Let me hold on a second. Shoulders down, relaxed, balanced, all while practicing trust, all while practicing being okay with uncertainty, all while practicing having zero preferences, all by practicing being surrendering to the present moment, practicing no resistance, practicing believing and knowing that your stories and your thoughts are not you. Hold on just a second. I'm getting all choked up. Oh, by the way, Voss water. There it is. Come on, Voss water. I'm waiting for you to contact me. Hold on. Live. This is a live show. No edits here. No edits. Practicing, and even wanting and or valuing this energy of contentment. And it is nothing to do with, scratch that. The practice that I share has nothing to do with, well, I just have to sit here and wait for things to happen. No, inspired action happens all the time. So back to this mastery, this guru who is selling, number one, dissatisfaction, and selling accomplish this, keep a list of things to do, wake up at a certain time, make goals, accomplish goals, set goals, all of it. And then you will feel good. And then you will feel contentment. But anyone that has ever made a goal, written out a goal, and accomplished that goal, get with me here. There is always another goal. There is always something else to do. There is always discontentment felt even after the goal has been met. Nothing wrong with making goals. However, what if your goal isn't aligned with what the universe or what God has planned for you? What if your goal is in conflict with what God's will is, or the universe, or source, whatever you want to call it? What if your human goal, your man-made goal, your program goal is in conflict with what God has planned for you? Then what? Ever thought about that one? So let me just share with you what I responded, and I'm going to get into the topic more specifically about another level of existence. So mastery of the ego and self, yes. Mastery of recognizing which voice is the ego, recognize, mastering and knowing which story is illusion and which thought is real. Stories, thoughts, all illusions, and they're not you. You are not your thoughts, and you are not your stories. So mastery of the ego self, check. Practice mastering, recognizing your program beliefs and behaviors, check. Master maintaining an energy of peace and contentment, check. Master transcending the programming, master transcending the ego, master transcending the feelings and the emotions even. Everything else that's mentioned, all of this human doing to get to an end, or to get to okay, I did that check, I accomplished that check. All of that has nothing to do with filling you up, providing you with an energy of contentment, maybe for a minute, maybe for an afternoon, maybe for a day, maybe for a week. You can ask anyone that has won any award, from a Grammy to a Tony to a Super Bowl ring to an NBA championship to what is it, Stanley Cup, to the Nobel Peace Prize. Let's go. Any accomplishment, ask anyone that has accomplished anything, or yourself. What happens after? What happens after the accomplishments? I mean, you can't get any more accomplished than Michael Jackson, Prince, Robin Williams, Anthony Bourdain, who else? Elvis, Whitney Houston. All of these people mastered their craft and were beyond what the world calls successful. But there's something else that was going on. Something else. And that something else is there was no internal peace. There was no peace and no contentment. So happiness is a practice skill. Inner peace is a practice skill. Contentment is also a practice skill. And let's get right into it with, what do we practice? When you live, when I talk about, because today's topic is another level of existence. When you live at the level, in the level, on the level, when you live in a place of the ego and the programming, you will always find a problem to fix. You will always find a cause to back. You will always find something that isn't right. And I contend that this belief, these beliefs and these thoughts that something isn't right, something needs to be changed, something needs to be fixed, something needs to be shifted, is all coming from what place, is all authored by what entity. Let me share this analogy from one of my favorite spiritual teachers now. His name is Moji. And you could Google Moji, search for Moji on YouTube. I believe he has a YouTube channel. Yes, YouTube channel Moji, spelled Mooji. Search for Moji on YouTube and sit back and get ready to take notes. Oh, and there is another YouTube channel that I've been watching, which is really, really good. They produce 15, 16, 17-minute videos, and the channel is called Solace, SOLACE, Fox. And it is a phenomenal channel about thoughts, the truth about this experience. I mean, and again, videos are 15 to 20 minutes long. I highly recommend Moji, Mooji, the Moji channel, and also Solace Fox, SOLACE. Okay, but let's get back to the analogy. When I say living at another level of existence, what does that mean? Thanks for asking. So this is Moji's example. There is a bird in a tree. Go figure that out. A bird in a tree. There's a bird in a tree, and he's sitting on a limb, and he is constantly moving. He's constantly doing. He's constantly active. He's making goals. He's setting goals. He's accomplishing goals. He's making other goals, and he's accomplishing those goals too. He's a doer. He is a professional athlete, a singer, an actor, a speaker, a writer. an accomplished person. And let me throw this, let me digress a little bit. What is this whole thing accomplishment anyway? Accomplishment. Yes, this is what I've accomplished. Well, to be able to accomplish without thinking that accomplishment has something to do with your identity. No, all it is a task that has been a task that has been completed. You are not your tasks. You are not what you do. But let's get back to the bird. So there's one bird on a tree limb, and always active, mentally active, moving around, always doing something. I don't even know if that bird sleeps. Do birds sleep? Yeah, of course. Birds sleep with their eyes open. I don't know too much about birds, obviously. No, the owl can blink. No, birds can blink. So I wonder if they sleep. I've never seen a bird. Have I ever seen a bird asleep? Oh my goodness. Can't remember. Anyway, I digress. Wow, that was crazy. That was crazy. But back to the bird that's always building a nest, gathering food, it's flying around, just making things happen. A busy bird. Instead of a bee, it's a busy bird. And then you have a second bird on a higher branch that is looking down on this active bird, this bird that is continuing to, he's busy. The bird's busy. The second bird is looking down on this busy bird without identifying with the busy bird, without thinking that busy bird that's me. The second bird is observing and witnessing this bird that is constantly doing. And that's another level of existence. What has brought a lot of peace and contentment for me is being aware and being conscious of not believing, scratch that, being conscious of that busy bird is not who I am. And in fact, hold on a second. I'm going to have to look at this. I'm reading from my own book. How arrogant. That second bird that is observing and witnessing does not identify with that bird that is doing. It's just watching. It's like going to the movies and you're not in the movie. You're just watching the movie. You're observing the movie. And the movie is very entertaining. The bird that's doing everything is always active, very entertaining. It's fun to watch. It's also very predictable. It's also very programmed. The bird that's doing it is programmed to do. It has to, based on a program. So here we go. The moment you're born, you're given a name, a nationality, a religion, a gender, a race, a culture, and then for the rest of your life, you spend the rest of your life identifying and defining and defending those deep-seated programs. The truth is, you are more than your name. You are more than your race. You are more than your gender, religion, nationality, culture. You are more than that. And that's what I'm talking about when I say live at another level. Live at that, scratch that. Practice living at that level of more. Practice living at that level of knowing the truth about your identity. So let's get back to that second bird. And that second bird is observing and witnessing and watching that bird that's doing, without identifying with that bird, without attaching an identity. Yeah, that's me. That's Rebecca. She's going and doing, because I guarantee that that bird that's doing and so active is finding fault and finding judgments and not finding judgments, but is in judgment of every present moment, is just automatically programmed to make a judgment of every present moment. And all judgments subtract from happiness. All judgments, all critical self-criticism is just another program. You didn't pop out of the womb knowing how to criticize yourself and thinking, "Oh, I'm not good enough." No. In fact, you popped out of the womb knowing and believing that you were connected to everything. The world out there, you weren't separate. You didn't start believing that you were separate than what was out there. You didn't start believing you were separate until the ego started forming, until the program started being downloaded. So there is no separation. That's another concept. It's a little bit deeper, but that's another concept as to practice where to live. Okay, so when I say where to live, consciously, where are you? Which entity are you aligned with? Okay, so then we have a third bird. So we have the three birds. The third bird is on the top of the tree, looking down at all the other two birds. Now, the bird that is in the middle, that's just witnessing and observing, the bird that is always active, that bird, the bird that is just looking down, is a bird that there is no definition. There is no there are no words to define the open, the emptiness, the freedom, the presence, the awareness, the all there is. That third bird is connected to all. And that is the practice. And that is a place where when you do practice, you can live at, scratch that, not at, you can live from that place with practice. And don't think that yours truly has it mastered, but talk about mastery. Live from that place of the third bird, the highest bird, the bird that is all there is, the bird that we all return to when this human form, when this human body dies. Scratch that, because somebody's called it a meat coat, a meat suit. When this meat suit dies, consciousness, energy, awareness, it isn't born and it doesn't die. So being conscious of living from that place, can you imagine the practicing that and the peace that comes with that? The other practice is, because in order to live or practice living from that place of presence, practice living from that place of awareness, practice living from that place of spirit, you can throw in whatever word you want. When you practice living from that place, there is a calm, there is an ease, there is a peace that just blankets over. And there are no worries, because trust is trust is your nature. Trust is your identity. There are no concerns. There is no resisting, because there is a knowing that just like nature, everything evolves in nature, everything evolves and unfolds. I meant to use the word unfolds. Everything unfolds in perfect timing, in divine timing. There's nothing to fight. There's nothing to resist. There's nothing to do other than accept and practice knowing who you truly are. And this limiting yourself to a name or limiting yourself to a human, a person, is, let me say this, you will find a lot of things to fix and a lot of things that this needs to be different. Now, I'm not saying not to do and not to achieve and not to accomplish, but don't think that any accomplish or any external achievement is going to bring contentment. And if you've been alive for a while, you know that what I'm saying is true. Attain a goal. No, there's always another one. Practicing emitting an energy of satisfaction is just that, a practice. So living from another level means living from another level means living from another level of awareness. It is beyond the human, beyond the person, beyond what the world says is success. And in fact, you and I can list thousands, well, I don't know about thousands, but yes, thousands of people that are the world deems highly successful. But what's going on behind the curtain and what's going on behind, backstage? And that's why the practice, quite frankly, it's a road, it's a practice less traveled, it's a practice less traveled, it's a road less traveled, it's a path, a journey that is not taught. I know I didn't learn it. The programming says accomplish, 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 but let's take it to another level. And the accomplishments, scratch that. My practice, and I say my practice, is to pay attention to pay attention, be aware, witness what this human, this ego, this mind tells me or tries to lead, tries to drive, tries to this is right. This makes sense. And I go back to the stories and the thoughts. And the practice is to ignore the stories, ignore the negative thoughts, ignore the positive thoughts. When I say ignore, focus on witnessing, focus on observing, focus on focus on trusting, focus on being at peace with uncertainty. The focus on what entity is causing you to focus on whatever it is you're focused on. I know that sounded crazy, but pay attention to it. It's a separation. Let me give you a quick exercise. So if you stare at a wall, and I say, and I say, stare at this wall for 2 minutes and try not thinking about anything. Stare at a wall for 2 minutes and try not thinking of anything. Try not thinking, try not having a story. Now, some of you that meditate frequently may be able to stare at a wall without a story. I'm talking about masses. Stare at a wall without coming up with thoughts or stories. 2 minutes. And then the next part of the exercise is After the 2 minutes, were you able to stare at a blank wall without thoughts, stories coming into your head? Yes or no? And if no, let's do it again. Stare at the wall. Have an intention of not having any thoughts or any stories. Practice stepping back and watching and observing what entity is staring at the wall and what entity is practicing not having any thoughts and stories. And can we transcend that entity to just observe? Observe the person staring at the wall. Observe witness the person or the entity. I'm going to scratch the person. Witness the entity that is staring at the wall. Oh, look at Rebecca's staring at the wall, and she's attempting not to have any thoughts and stories pop in. But there is another level of existence of witnessing what Rebecca is doing. Does that make sense? Of course it does. Of course it does. So when I say living at another existence, living at another level of existence, practice living as the observer. Practice living as the witness. Now, what's going to happen is the ego is going to fight tooth and nail. The ego is going to give up, just resist to this practice with no end. Because why? The ego gets fed when you identify with it. The ego gets fed when you say, oh, yes, that's me. I'm the one with the preferences. I'm the one that wants to achieve. I'm that one. The ego needs to survive, to live, to have a voice. Number one, the ego needs you to have a voice. Number two, the ego needs you to act out. The ego cannot exist on its own. And the more that you practice not identifying with the ego, the mind, the person, the human, you are going to be living at another level of existence. You are going to be living as the observer. You are going to be living from a place of trust, knowing that everything is unfolding perfectly. There's nothing extra to do. Got to achieve this. Got to. I mean, I met a few people over the last couple of, well, it was this year, the beginning of the year, with 4 cell phones, 3 cell phones. Listen, there ain't nothing wrong with having 4, 3, 2 cell phones. Nothing wrong with it. But this person was always going and doing and going and doing. And there are people that do not feel comfortable just sitting and being at peace with being. No judgment here. I'm just describing. There are people that are uncomfortable with that. But the reason is because of the programming. Their program, wasting time, which is another illusion. They're programmed that if they are not busy, the uncomfortableness, the feeling, can't even stand to sit down and be quiet and stare at a blank wall for 15 minutes. Oh my God, it would be like stabbing them in the eyeballs. Again, no judgment, just describing. So there's a difference between describing and judging. There's no judgment on that type of behavior. I'm just describing it. And if you're one of those people that has to keep everything going, moving. I promise you that the peace that if you are even interested in attaining is very, very fleeting. What I'm sharing over here is on reality spirituality is that the peace that I promote and talk about is that peace that comes from within. You know, you hear beauty comes from within, peace comes from within. And if you are interested and or value, I've said it more than once, value this peace, it can be attained. And you still can go about and doing your busy bird work. You still can do that. But it starts with the foundation first. And it starts with what level of existence do you want to what level of existence do you value? And I'm going to raise my hand. There are some people that don't value, don't want, don't even think that this contentment is of any value. No. Where's the value in that? Where's the value of inner peace? I get that. The message is still the message that I'm sharing is still appropriate because I contend that there will be a time, maybe not this year, maybe not in 5 years, in 10 years, in 20 years, maybe even when you're closer to your deathbed. Maybe when you're and when I say deathbed, I'm talking about this human death, this human body death. There's going to be a time when the truth is revealed to everyone. I don't care what you've done. I don't care what you've practiced. I don't care who you are. The truth of this existence will be revealed. Okay, living at another level of existence. What does that mean? That means not putting so much weight and focus on your humanness and practice aligning with, connecting with, embracing, hugging, holding that identity that when is witnessing and observing. I must have repeated myself at least 1,000,000 times, but that's okay. The message is what is powerful because the practice of separating yourself from this human, from this person, it's just another altitude. It's another place to live. And in fact, now that I'm thinking about it, the airplane, you know how you're in an airplane, it has to rise and has to get to another altitude where, you know, I guess where the clouds are. Here there's a little bit of turbulence, but when you fly to a higher altitude, where's the turbulence? And when you fly all the way to space, I mean, of course, you know, meteor, what is it? Meteor showers. But when you fly to another level, when you get to another level of existing, the peace and the calm and the quiet, and when I say quiet, I'm talking about in the head, the quiet trumps all of this other level. Trumps all the other this lower level, this level of turbulence. And I'm using turbulence as life, because life is turbulent. Down, up, down, a lot of turbulence. But when you're still experiencing life, but your level of consciousness and awareness is at another level. That's where the peace is. And again, the ego will give you a certain amount of peace and then it'll be over. Try maintaining peace on a human level. Try maintaining peace on a human level. That was brilliant. Again, where's my sponsor? Voss Water. The wetter, better water. Contact me, Voss. I would love for you to be one of my sponsors. I'll put you on the top of the list. Put you at the top of the list. Okay. Let me wrap it up. But before I wrap it up, hold on. Let me share with you a couple of other levels that are higher than this human level. And I use that word higher, higher. I'm just going to say at another level. Okay. I don't know about you, but I was programmed that if I had a challenge or there was some traumatic, something happens that the ego really pushes against, labeling those as curses, labeling something that doesn't feel good as a curse. The program is to label it a curse or sad or unfortunately, but there's a practice to label all experiences as an opportunity, and know that a lot of times these opportunities for growth come with struggle. I'm going to raise my hand. Struggle, uncomfortableness, impatience. The levels, whatever level you are identifying with, each level comes with its pluses and minuses. And when I say pluses and minuses, I'm talking about pluses and minuses, adding to contentment, adding to happiness, adding to peace, or subtracting from it. That's pluses and minuses. The struggle is just another way that God says that God assists us to transcend. Struggle is a way that, let me back up a little bit. Struggle is normal. And struggle, quite frankly, I'm not up here saying, hey, come on, more struggle. I'm not doing that. The struggle, I know when I come out of that struggle, or when it's time for that struggle to be over, or that when that struggle has gotten to its end of its cycle, I know that struggle is offered me a gift of an opportunity to transcend. So the next time this struggle comes up, I'm not approaching the struggle on this level. I'm not even judging it as a struggle. I'm at this level. So where you find yourself most of the time will determine how much contentment you will also find. And let me say one more thing. I cannot believe I talked for an hour. Yes, I can. Let me say one more thing. Let me see. I think I forgot it. Oh, no, I didn't forget it. Well, I did forget it, and then I remembered it. Using the ocean as an analogy. You are either living on the surface of the ocean and you are subject to the weather, the change in weather, the strength of the waves, the movement, storms. Then if you're living on the surface of the ocean, it's always like this: storms, tsunamis, calm. But if you drop down below the surface and you keep dropping down, all the way to the bottom of the ocean, all the way to the bottom of the ocean. There's nothing but peace down there. Can't see anything, but there's just peace. So the practice is practice living at the bottom of the ocean. And that is the practice. Where the waves and the wind and the storms don't affect who you are foundationally. Let me see. Hold on. Okay. Know that when you're programmed and when you don't recognize your programming, you're not going to have a choice. It's the programming that needs to be exposed and patiently eliminated one by one. I'll give you an example. The person that worries knows that worrying is useless, that it does no good for the person that they're worrying about or for themselves. So why can't they stop? Practice living at a place of being aware of the programming. And some of you will get it and some of you won't. Some of you are chosen to receive a deeper understanding of what this life is, and some are not. And again, there's no judgment. It's just a description, and some are not. And so what is the practice is to accept everyone, because we are united spiritually, consciously, whether somebody knows it or not, still united and connected. And so it's let me just speak for myself. So my practice is to accept where everyone else is without judgment too. Where everyone else is without judgment. And it's not about looking out there and this person needs to be fixed and this needs to be changed. It's about being that energy of peace and contentment, being that gift to the world. Keep on acting, keep on accomplishing, but there's a deeper level to live, and that deeper level is being aware of your true identity and living at that level of your true identity. I wish I remember what I said, because I don't. But that's the end of today's show. Thank you for listening. Reality Spirituality Radio is heard every Sunday at 9 a.m. And now Reality Spirituality Radio podcast is live on YouTube every Sunday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I also do a live show with my son every Saturday morning at 9:15 Pacific Standard Time, live on YouTube. Follow me on Twitter at RL Norrington, LinkedIn. My Instagram handle is Reality Spirituality. My YouTube channel is a work in progress, but it is moving along. Like and subscribe. My website is RebeccaNorrington.com, and my first book, Reality Spirituality, The Truth About Happiness, can be purchased on Amazon. But my latest book, just published a few months ago, last year, 2024, Program for Unhappiness, Exposing the Untold Truth. I list 56 program behaviors in this book. And I also list 26 behaviors that, when I say I list 56 program behaviors that subtract from your happiness and subtract from your contentment. And I also list 26 behaviors that you can practice that will add to your contentment and happiness. And again, happiness is a practice skill. Contentment is a practice skill. Inner peace is a practice. And the more you practice, guess what happens? You already know. And until next time, my dear audience, I want you to remember who the hell you are. You are a physical extension of the universe, your conscious energy, which is always evolving, always changing, always growing. Love is patient and love is kind. Be patient and be kind by accepting yourself in every moment of development, every moment of growth. It all is is part of an intricate plan. It's really beyond words. Be your own best friend. Be patient with your growth. Be patient with your progress. Be patient with the world. Be patient with all of it. Being impatient is a program. Remember, you cannot have a happy ending to an unhappy journey. That's from Abraham Hicks. You cannot have a happy ending to an unhappy journey. You've been listening to Reality Spirituality Radio with yours truly, global happiness specialist Rebecca L. Norrington. Remember, happiness, contentment, inner peace are all practice skills. And I promise you, the more you practice, the more peace you're going to find, and your experience in every moment reflect on what you practice. Now, let me cue up the theme song. Hold on a second. One of these days I'll be in a studio. One of these days I'll be in a studio, but it's not today. One of these days I'll have a producer. One of these days I'll have a director. One of these days I'll have as assistants, but it's not today. That's really funny. So look at how creative. One of these days I'll have a producer. One of these days I'll have a director. One of these days I'll live in a professional studio, but it's not today. Oh. Yay! And have a conscious week.
It's time to get real. Oh, yeah. It's a new experience. Yeah, keep your ears open. Come on,
A question for RLN. Answers, baby. Oh, now we getting real. Down.
you're gonna feel good now. Get real good. That's what I'm talking about.
I can't get out of here. I can't get out of this matrix.